Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Black Advancement. I'm your host slash moderator, Ajuman Jasante Goodman. To my right is Deanna Ali. To my left is Greg Goodman. And today we're going to talk about the O.J. Effect, the impact of the media on the black community, which is the third installment of our Justice or Just Us section. Before we get into that, let's talk about what Black Advancement Incorporated is all about. Black Advancement Incorporated is a nonprofit organization that wishes to help the black community become self-sufficient through action and through discord or dialogue. With all that being said, let's jump into the topic, go to a little Front Street. So of all things, why OJ? To examine this, why would we use O.J. Simpson, who's seen by some people as a sellout, to others as a murderer? And the truth of the matter is that his case, in a lot of people's opinion, opened the door to all kinds of different justices and justice systems within America itself, and showed how broken the system is. It showed black versus white justice. It showed rich versus poor justice. It showed how the media latches on to things involving justice, how it covers different people in different ways. It basically touched on all the touchstones that we now are seeing now within the digital age, in the digital media age. So it was ahead of its time, and in a lot of ways it created the reality TV that we've been overcome with these last like 20 or 30 years. With all that being said, let's get into whether the O.J. Simpson trial helped to destroy the black community. Does the media make more or some incidents or crimes with a racial component than it should? Why or why not? And I'll go with the first question. Start with Tiana.
I do. I think the media, I think the larger media in general is biased towards reporting crimes that involve black and brown people. On the nightly news, you still see it, even to this day, that the crimes that are reported on TV, the suspects look like me, or more like Greg or Ajuman. And that general perpetuation that like black men tend to do more crimes is being sold by the general, like more conglomerate media, like such as like the ABCs and the NBCs. Now there are other media outlets out there that are doing a good job in portraying crime as it is, that everybody does crime, no matter what race you are, no matter what class you are. But I think the general media as a whole does. But one caveat, because I do have some black friends in the media who are really working hard to try to dispel this and try to report fairly on crimes and that involve all types of people. So if one of them were in the room, they would argue differently than me.
I would argue that more of the suspects look like Greg than me. Greg, go on.
That's me.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Very accurate. But anyway, I would say, first to go back to your introduction about O.J. Simpson, when talking about the system being broken, I think that's a contradiction, because that literally is the only time the system has appeared broken, is when O.J. got off, because the system is for black people to go to jail.
Okay, let's get into that. Let's get into that part of it as you answer the other part of the question. No, go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, that is the only time the system has failed. When a rich black guy got off. That is literally the only time. Every other time the system is going exactly how they want it to go.
So that's interesting. So you're saying it more so from a standpoint of the system's designed to have us get locked up and locked down.
Exactly. That is exactly how the system is designed. So O.J. Simpson is
the exception.
Is the exception of the system being broke. That is the only time it's ever been broke. Every other time it is gone just exactly the way they wanted it. It's
an interesting way of looking at it. But
that's just the way I mean,
like I don't necessarily.
Just my opinion.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just found that interesting because it's like I looked at it from the perspective of like if you were to ask a lot of white people who followed the trial, quite frankly, a lot closer than I did when I was growing up. This like opened their eyes to the idea of a really bad justice system, which I found funny because we always found the justice system to be completely and totally unfair to us.
Exactly.
And we were the ones saying that the system is broken. And it's funny that the way that they looked at how this trial showed that the system was broken is how you look at the same thing.
Exactly. And I didn't come to that conclusion like until I got older, and I was like, wait a minute, that is different. Because, you know, when they were yelling the system is broken, I was like, you know what, they're right. Mm-hmm. That actually broke the system. Because the system is not for people like OJ to get away.
You know, a good case that is also like recent is like how Trayvon Martin case was played out in the media.
Yeah.
So like you have Trayvon Martin and you have like his young picture of the black kid in the hoodie.
Yeah.
And America saw an innocence for like a black man that they typically do not see. And that's how his family and his friends would perceive him, with that same innocence that picture portrayed. And so everybody was up in arms, they had their hoodies on and their Skittles out, and you know, they were protesting and marching. And then when people saw the picture that what Trayvon Martin looked like when he was attacked by George Zimmerman, people were like, oh no, this wasn't the Trayvon Martin that I thought was being attacked in a picture. And so it's an interesting case on how like the media took something and ran with it that worked in our favor at first, but then when they saw the real picture, then people were like, oh no, this is a thug, he deserved what he got. And then you fast forward to the trial, and it was a trial that greatly affected me. I still believed in the system. I thought that he was at least going to get some type of involuntary manslaughter or something. But he got off. And that hurt my entire heart. But it also hardened me and to know that black men don't get justice.
Yeah. And the reason why it went down the way it was because George Zimmerman wasn't on trial. Trayvon Martin was on trial, although he was dead. You know what I'm saying? And that's the other thing that's different with the media, the difference between Hannity and like Ted Koppel back in the day. Like the news back then was, this happened at this time, at this place, these are the facts.
Right.
Now news is all based, it's entertainment, it's just an opinion.
Yeah.
So it's just, you don't know, I mean, you know some things, they'll sprinkle in some of the story, but most of it is just a bunch of guys and ladies sitting around giving their opinion.
Which we know nothing about.
Exactly. So we might as well be the news. They just they kind of paint their own picture instead of sticking with the facts. If you take race completely out of that entire story, 100%, everyone, there's no one on George Zimmerman's side in that story.
Yeah.
You take race completely out of it, and you just look and deal with the facts.
Yeah.
For what they are.
17-year-old man versus a 17-year-old boy, I should say.
17-year-old boy walking home. Gets harassed by a guy, defends himself, and the guy shoots him. That's what the story is. It doesn't have anything to do with his background. He could have been the worst dude in the world, for all I know. But in this situation, Trayvon Martin was right, and George Zimmerman was wrong. Plain and simple. So the background and the history and all that other stuff really doesn't matter. Unless there's like a history of Trayvon Martin just on his way home beating people up for no reason. Like if that's a history and a pattern, yeah. Then you can lean towards George Zimmerman a little bit. But the fact is, there's no history of this.
Didn't even stand his ground. Like the law.
Technically he did. See, and that's the other part about this that's difficult. It's like technically, because you can say the same thing about OJ, right? In terms of like how the trial worked out itself, whether you thought he was guilty or not, it always comes back to whether you believe that the lawyers proved whether he was guilty or not. That's the way the system is. The system is more so based off of winners and losers than it is based off of truth and facts. Does that make sense? Like what I'm saying?
As far as the way that court cases are conducted?
Yeah, I mean like because you could say definitely.
The interpretation of that law is vague. So
it's meant to be vague, so that way they can get away with shooting people.
Well, yeah.
But that I can agree on.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the guy on the couch. Welcome back, guy on the couch. Bully. And we'll have our first comment from the website. Guy on the couch, what you got?
Thank you, Aj. We'll go to question 1. Does the media make more of some incidents/crimes with a racial component than it should, and why or why not? Jay Hood says yes, absolutely. They, meaning mainstream media, spread fear to force people to keep watching. They have no social responsibility, and I'm not sure if it's intentional or neglectful, but either way, it's effed up. The 24-hour news cycle is a propaganda tool of the devil, covering a single story for 24 hours with 10 minutes worth of actual real information. Back to you.
Wow, that's strong words from Jay Hood. What do you guys think about what Jay Hood had to say?
I agree with him 100%. He said generally and basically the same exact thing I said.
I couldn't disagree more. Deanna, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I generally agree with him, and it also reminds me of some other cases that the media has recently covered 24/7, such as the rape cases of rape accusations of Bill Cosby versus the rape cases and accusations of Bill O'Reilly, and how Bill Cosby was dragged through the mud, and rightfully so if he's guilty of those types of crimes. But Bill O'Reilly wasn't in the same way, and they had this battle around the same amount of celebrity and fame and amount of covering up over time of the
I think you give
cases.
Bill O'Reilly a lot of credit in that, in that respect.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and you don't see the same treatment of how Bill Cosby's reputation has been tarnished versus the, well, they're both named Bill. Bill O'Reilly's reputation has been tarnished over.
Yeah, the coverage between these two men is totally different, completely different. And the crazy part about it is there's two reasons that I think that Bill Cosby is catching a much harder rap than Bill O'Reilly did.
Mm-hmm.
One is because of the obvious, Bill Cosby's black. And two, because Bill Cosby always had a
Wholesome appearance.
yes, had a wholesome family values kind of appearance. Now Bill O'Reilly kind of tries to have that, but he's also well known as a jerk.
Yeah.
So to find out Bill O'Reilly's following people is not really a stretch for my imagination. I'm just like, he seems like the kind of, guy that came up in the system in the 80s and just slapped a secretary on the butt and be like, good job, gorgeous. And, that's just what it was. But Bill Cosby never had that persona. So I think it's probably less of a shock that Bill O'Reilly's in this kind of trouble, more so than Bill Cosby. But with that being said, yeah, he should be getting dragged to the coals much more than he actually is.
I'm pretty sure he's got a nice golden parachute, and he'll probably get picked up again somewhere else.
Oh, I assume he'll be on the Blaze in like 4 or 5 months.
Well, with all that being said, let's go ahead and plug some of the website, which is www.blackadvancement.com. While you're there, if you want to participate in these type of debates, whether through writing onto the website or coming here and being face-to-face with us, you can use the research section to help you out. It gives articles and background on each of the topics that we have. Also, another thing you should check out from the website is our debates tab. The debates tab shows us right here, these beautiful people with these beautiful shirts on, talking it out. You know what I mean? Which you could also get if you donate enough money. But with all that being said, we'll be right back.